So I'm down here in the basement doing some work and I'm listening to a podcast. And something was just said that I wanted to comment on. Now, they're talking about the reasons that Donald Trump got elected versus the reasons he thinks he got elected, because those two things are not necessarily the same. And they were discussing in particular inflation and the role of grocery prices in getting Donald Trump elected. And they talked about that statement that Donald Trump made on Meet the Press a couple of weekends ago, where he said that the main reason he got elected was groceries. And, that he was so stupid. He made it sound like he discovered this word groceries. Nobody ever used the word groceries before, and all of a sudden he started using the word groceries.
And I went on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries, when you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs.
Anyway, in that clip, as stupid as the man sounded in explaining it, he actually got it right. I think that in large part, that is the reason he was elected. Now, of course, the cult doesn't care about the price of groceries or any other issue. They were going to vote for him no matter what. But he couldn't have gotten elected with the cult alone. And I think for those people who don't pay much attention to politics, I think grocery prices and inflation, generally speaking, is a main reason he got elected. And remember, he only won the popular vote by 1.4% of the vote. I think far more than 1.4% of the vote was driven by people being upset about grocery prices and everything. And all the post-election assessment, analytical assessment, dealing with exit polling data and all this other kind of data, shows that inflation was a huge driver of the Trump vote. So I think it really is, it's beyond debate that grocery prices and inflation was a significant contributing factor to Donald Trump's election. Now, one of these people on this podcast said this. They said, look, once prices are up, it's very difficult for prices to then come down. And Donald Trump acknowledged this by saying, yeah, you know what, all those promises I made about lowering the price of groceries, not sure I'm going to be able to do that. That's a really hard thing to do. Again, that is true. And so he's trying to temper expectations now after, lying through his teeth in order to get elected. He doesn't want people to be surprised when he doesn't actually lower the price of groceries. And so anyways, the person made this point that once prices are up, very difficult to bring those prices back down. They generally don't go back down, which is true. And when they do go back down, that's called deflation. And that is a problem in and of itself and can lead to other economic problems. So deflation is not necessarily a good thing. Anyways, this person then made the point that politically speaking, that's really not going to hurt Donald Trump if prices don't go down. Yeah, he promised to bring prices down, but if they don't go back down, he's not going to get blamed because people have gotten used to these high prices and they'll begin to forget how prices used to be lower. And, Donald Trump won't get blamed if prices go back down. Now, here's the point that I want to make. If that is the case, if prices don't come down as Donald Trump promised that they would, and people don't blame Donald Trump for that, then that is a failure on us. Okay? That is a failure, a political failure of those of us who oppose Donald Trump. Okay? We need to blame this motherfucker for everything and hold him accountable for all of his promises. And if prices don't go back down, which they won't, by and large, he needs to be blamed for that. He made that promise. There's plenty of videotape of him promising prices will come down very, very quickly once he takes office. We're just going to say, oh, well, it's really... We're going to back him up on this bullshit that it's very difficult for prices to come back down. We're going to just let people forget that he made that promise? No. Do you think if the tables were turned and a Democrat made those promises and then prices didn't go down, that Republicans would just let that go? Or would they be reminding the American people 24 hours a day on Fox News that the Democrat president promised to bring down the price of groceries and he hasn't? So if Donald Trump is allowed, if the American people don't blame Donald Trump, that's our fault. Okay, and this is what we need to be doing politically. Okay, this is the fight ahead. The fight ahead is to point out to the American people everything that Donald Trump is doing to fuck things up. Blaming him for every damn thing he does wrong and everything bad that happens in this country or anywhere in the world over the next 4 years. It's Donald Trump's fault. Honestly, it's his fault whether he had anything to do with it or not. Those are the new rules. Hey, don't forget that. Those are the new rules. They blamed Joe Biden for everything that happened, whether he had anything to do with it or not, and we're going to do to Donald Trump the same thing they did to Joe Biden. Those are their rules, and we're going to play by those rules now. This is what they wanted. This is what they're getting. And so we cannot allow the American people to get used to the high prices and then forget about the fact that Donald Trump promised he would lower them. Yes, it's difficult to lower prices. And yes, lowering prices across the board might will usher in all kinds of other problems, deflationary problems in the economy, which are not good. But that's irrelevant. Donald Trump promised to lower grocery prices. The American people voted for this jackass because they were upset about grocery prices. We're not going to let them forget about that promise and about their vote. Look, you voted for an authoritarian criminal, adjudicated rapist, piece of shit, because you were upset about the price of eggs. We're going to hold you to that fucking vote. When the price of eggs don't come down, when your grocery bill is not substantially reduced after Donald Trump takes office, we're going to blame Donald Trump. And I don't give a damn whether he had nothing to do with it or not. So we don't let this issue just fade into oblivion, like this guy seems to suggest. Oh, well, they'll get used to high prices and they'll forget that prices used to be low and they won't blame Donald Trump for any of it. Fuck that. We need to make sure they blame Donald Trump for it. For that and for every damn other thing that happens in this country negative. And there's going to be plenty. We won't have to make shit up. We won't have to blame Donald Trump for things he didn't actually do, because there's going to be plenty of stuff that he does actually do. But you know what? I'm going to blame him for the shit he didn't actually do also. If it happens in this country or anywhere else in the world while he is president, he's getting blamed. Those are the new rules. So embrace it. That's what the Republicans did to get Donald Trump elected. That's what we're going to do. They used that playbook to put his orange ass back in office. So now the same standard needs to be applied to him now that he's in office. It's time to take off the gloves and fight these people. All right, that's it. Later.